Even made my changes.
These are my power rankings, and this is not necessarily a power ranking as far as what teams I think are the best teams. This is who I think has the best chance to win the Super Bowl. That means chance. That means to be in it, to win it, you have to be in it. That's why the Cowboys are sitting at 14, folks. You look there and it's like, why the hell has he got Dallas at 14? Well, they're in the playoffs right now, and the Saints aren't. The Patriots aren't. The Raiders aren't. The Panthers aren't. So the Cowboys have a better chance of making the Super Bowl than the Saints do right now. Now, Hunter, when I look at the teams outside the playoff picture right now, of course, we've got 10 teams with only one win. So I guess we're going to mark them off and say, you guys are going to, I'm just going to take one off every week. So, folks, the way it works, here, let's see if I can get my hand right. At the bottom here is these gray teams. Every week I eliminate a team from Super Bowl contention saying, you guys have no chance. There's no point in us talking about you. So we've went in order. So it's, Lions, the 2 New Yorks, Denver, Houston, Atlanta. And this week I'm getting rid of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Hunter. They are purposely tanking.
Yep.
They are not winning a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And, of course, we've got 4 teams with 1 win right now. So we'll be 5 teams with 1 win now, still on the list. We'll be going through them in the next few weeks. But looking at the teams, Hunter, outside 14, besides the Saints, who else from 16 through 21 do you think has a legitimate shot and should make the playoffs? So for you folks listening on the podcast, Saints at 15, Patriots at 16, Raiders 17, Panthers at 18, Dolphins 19. Sorry, I got the hiccup all of a sudden. I got the Eagles at 20 and 49ers at 21. Now, the reason 49ers are behind Miami and Eagles is they lost both of them.
I know, it's weird.
I don't think Garoppolo was playing either one of them, were they? So, 49ers may be better than we think, and they may make a run here. But, I mean, realistically, Hunter, you're not thinking Bengals, Chargers, Vikings ain't coming. The Eagles, you have to leave them in there because they're 1 game out of – never mind. They're a half a game out of first place. After 6 weeks, Hunter, your team has – it's not your team, but the Eagles have 1 win, and they're half a game out of first.
Well, looking at the teams after 15 and just which ones that I think can still make the playoffs, I think Vegas is the one that has the best opportunity to make the playoffs. It's going to be tough, but this is my reasoning behind it. So we know the AFC is loaded.
Yeah, so somebody would have to come out. That would be Colts or Bills, basically. Or Browns.
Yeah, definitely Cleveland.
You think they're the ones?
I think it is, and it's only because it's the division. Okay,
I agree.
Pittsburgh is going to be. It's either going to be Pittsburgh or Baltimore at the end in that division.
I feel the same about the NFC West. Is that it's tough.
It's that division. So I think it would have to be the Browns don't make it because the Bills win. I think the Bills win their division. I think Tennessee wins their division. I think the Colts are close. But you're just asking me who outside of the top 16. So it would be outside of 15, and it would be Las Vegas then.
Yeah.
It really would be. Because I will just say these would be my division winners. It would be Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Buffalo, and Kansas City. And they're all sitting there in the top 10. And then after that, what do we have? 3 wild card spots now?
I think, 3.
Yeah, 3. So then I would have basically how it lines up right now outside of Cleveland, who's in your top 10, it would be Baltimore, the Colts, and then the Raiders.
Okay. So you feel the Raiders?
I'm feeling the Raiders.
Hunter, true or false?
They did what they needed to do this year, and that's split with Kansas City.
True or false?
I think if they'll have to play them again, they could sweep them.
Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Kansas City, and Baltimore are the only 4 teams that have a chance of winning the AFC.
True or false?
And I'm not saying the other teams aren't any good. I'm saying if you bet anyone else from one of those teams, I think you're
losing money. Yes, I agree with that.
All right, so Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, and Ravens. The Bills could win the NFC.
Yeah, if they were in the NFC, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
It's wide open.
Like
they could.
Right. I'm not saying they would. So looking at Hunter, I was noticing the thing while we were talking about those quarterbacks and teams. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say you're the Falcons and you win the number 1 pick. Let's say you want Trevor Lawrence. Well, that means you got to do something with Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Would the Colts not be like, hey, Matt Ryan, come on over to the Indianapolis Colts? Would the Browns be like, Matt Ryan, come on over?
Well, you have to look at it and say, well, which team is a quarterback away from a Super Bowl?
Bears.
Chicago would do it.
But again,
if Nick Foles fumbles.
But the Falcons would probably rather trade someone in the AFC if they got
than the
NFC.
Than the
NFC.
Then they don't have to see him.
Right. So, but there's not really that many opens in the AFC except Jacksonville, maybe Denver. What about Matt Ryan in Denver? Sling it around.
Well, think about it. How the success that they had in Denver came. They didn't draft the quarterback. They just went out and got Peyton Manning. That's what they did. So I wouldn't put it past John Elway. The problem is Drew Lock just came back and you won a game. I mean, he's won some games while he's been there. You just gotta look at the young guy and say, does he have the opportunity? Because we've seen Matt Ryan so far at what we believe is his peak. That was his MVP season. Do you think Drew Lock could be better? It's just one of those things.
If Detroit gets the 1, do they take Lawrence?
I think they do, and they move off Stafford.
So Stafford, what would his market be?
Now, I think Matt Stafford has just as good of a market as Matt Ryan does. The problem is that Stafford has run into is that's just a shit organization. They have wasted him.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, we can all agree we've wasted him.
What about Stafford in Chicago?
His arm is big enough to play in any cold and windy city, so I could see him in Cleveland. With those weapons, the most attractive spot for a quarterback, if your team is going to let you go, but you still have fuel in the tank, is Cleveland.
All right,
if they don't like how Baker does for the rest of the season.
We talked to him about him Monday. So here's your variables of Baker. I went through the schedule again. Before the season, I had him at 9 wins. I still got him at 9 wins. With that said, if he has a winning record, Hunter, you haven't had one in 30 years.
Right.
How do you move on from that guy? Now, I'm not saying they won't. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But the Eagles had never won anything. And the dude wins the Super Bowl MVP and you move on from him. I've got Baker somewhere. This is my opinion on Baker. And he's kind of like, I've got him in the Teddy Bridgewater range of quarterbacks right now. To where if you can't get nothing better than him, you better stick with him. Like unless you're let's say the Panthers or Browns, unless you're saying Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees is coming to town, stick with what you got. Because here's what I don't want to do: don't get rid of Baker to get an unknown commodity,
and then be right back to where you had just worked to get out of.
I'll take Matt Ryan. I'll take Matt Stafford. If you think this team can win some playoff games, I'll take those. But I'm not taking Kyler Murray, or I'm probably not even taking Carson Wentz for Baker. I'm not taking anyone who isn't proven for him, other than the fact of maybe the number 1 pick in Lawrence. But damn, they ain't getting that first.
All right, would you take Kirk?
Who? Cousins? Hell no. That's a sideways move.
Do you think he's the same?
Right. I think all those guys are pretty much the same. I think you only have 5-10 top tier quarterbacks, and everybody else is pretty the same. If again, everyone has different.
Would you take Josh Allen
over Baker? I'd have to have my arm twisted.
There are only 2 quarterbacks.
I'm not saying no.
In that draft, they were drafted the same year. Only 2 quarterbacks have winning records.
Those two?
Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Baker still ain't winning
yet?
The thing, again, unless it's gonna make a difference. No. That's a very good question on that.
Because think about
it. That's a hypothetical that would never happen.
That is just one of those things where if you looked at all, because that will always be the comparison. They do the same thing with Trubisky because Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes went after him and they've had better success.
What about Rivers of Eli Manning?
In that one too. The same thing can happen here. The winning guy right now, because Darnold and Baker went before Josh Allen. So the winner is Josh Allen, just like straight up wins losses. He's got the better record. He's the one that's winning. He's making playoffs. So that'll always be the comparison. Do you think if you were just to move them today, that Josh Allen would not just have better numbers because he would have just as good of a receiving core and running backs as he does already in Buffalo, where he's winning?
I think Josh Allen would be okay there, but again, this is the Cowboys situation. You can put Andy Dalton there, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, you put whoever you want to. If your defense gives up 36 points a game, you're not going to win hardly any games. How many good defenses has Baker played with? None. At least Allen the past few years has had a good defense.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's defenses have been
fantastic.
Good. So, yes, and like I said again, to me he's Alex Smith, he's Kirk Cousins, he's not a loser, but he hasn't figured out the game yet. And I think he's just we don't give the guys enough time. I know this is the third year, and again, if you're the Patriots and you're 2-3, if Baker Mayfield was the Patriots right now and is 2-3, they'd be calling for his head.
Mm-hmm.
But he's 4-2 in Cleveland. Again, like I said of Tom, like, do you really get rid of that? Like for years, have Cleveland fans not been like, all we want is 500. All we want is a winning record. We just want to compete. And now you got a guy that's competing, and you're being like, well, he ain't good enough for us. Like, who's not good enough for you? You haven't won anything.
Right.
So I don't know, Hunter.
They're looking. They have a champagne taste, but all they've ever known is a beer budget.
Right.
So
listen, if you know you're improving, I would accept moving off of Baker because if that's what you think you need. But that's going from like, don't get rid of Alex Smith or
maybe
Bridgewater.
maybe that's not a good example, but it kind of is, because all you've ever known so far, if you're the Browns, is a beer taste.
Yeah.
Or a beer budget. That's all you've ever known, because you've 1 to 2 wins a year. You had the 0-16 year. It's been a real struggle. I think what it is now is you have now the champagne taste just a little bit. You went to a party and you've tasted a little bit. The wins, the wins, the wins. So now you want more, but you're just not getting it. You're not getting it week to week like you think you need to get it now.
Right, and I think we blame the quarterbacks too much.
That's what it is.
Again, Hunter, okay.
What's the most important position in sports?
Of the 14 teams in the playoffs, Dallas, Cleveland, are those the only 2 teams you say their defense is just
horrible?
crap?
I'm still
right now.
Big question mark about this one right here.
Packers is questionable.
The defense for the Packers is questionable, and I can already tell you just what I've seen. Buffalo's defense is a huge question mark. The 2 best defenses technically that are right here, even in the top 15, is number 1, the Steelers. I'll give them that. And then Chicago.
Seahawks isn't that great.
No, Seahawks is bad too. They're bad too. They're like in the 30s. Like in between 30 and 32.
Think about how bad Earl Thomas has to be that the Seahawks sitting there.
Let him go.
And just like,
they even brought in Jamal Adams thinking it was going to help. Essentially to replace what Earl Thomas was.
Done anything. All right, so
they gave up a lot.
Our power poll for the people listening, Hunter, have no idea what it is. So let me go through it. 25, the Vikings. 24, the Chargers. 23, the Bengals. 22, the Redskins, Maryland football team. 21, the 49ers. I've got the Eagles at 20, Dolphins at 3-3 at 19. Now we get into the serious teams that are trying to win games. How about the Panthers at 18? They're 3-3 overall. Before the season, Hunter, I had them at, I think, 6 wins. Let me check.
I think I had them at 4 or 5.
I had them at 5 wins. And the Falcons at 9. So
they could still be there.
Combined, let's see if they can get to 14 together.
Yeah.
The Falcons have an easy schedule, Hunter. Like, honestly, if they figure out how to play some defense, I ain't saying they can win.
You know who they
division.
play this weekend?
Who?
Detroit.
Yeah, like they can win. They can make a playoff run, the Falcons.
Finish this power poll, and then I have a serious question for you.
Oh, God. Raiders at 17. Patriots at 16. I have them there, Hunter, because they beat the Raiders. I swear. The Raiders beat the Chiefs and got beat by the Patriots. I don't know what the Raiders are doing. They're inconsistent. New Orleans at 15. That surprised me. I didn't know that they had been bumped yet, but they had a bye, so they haven't played their 6th game. Cowboys at 14. These are your playoff teams, folks. Cowboys 14. Cardinals 13. Colts at 12. Bears at 11. Bills at 10. Browns at 9. Packers 8. Rams 7. Tampa Bay at 6. Not Green Bay. I've already went by them. Baltimore at 5. Kansas City 4. Tennessee 3, and my Super Bowl picks this year was Seahawks and Steelers. Steelers with the win. They are my 1 and 2 teams. Hunter, of the top 4 teams, I've got 3 of the 4 in there right now. The one I've missed is the Titans. I had them winning the division with 10 wins, but I've got them getting beat.
I think I had Indianapolis winning it, but I had them as a wild card. The Titans,
Right? We had them flipped.
I had them at least. I had them at least in the playoffs.
Right, we had them flipped, and I had them both getting beat in the first round. I got the Titans get beat by the Ravens in the first round. Is what I had. So there's my preseason predictions. All right, Hunter, what was your very important question?
Well, let me give my top 10 first.
Okay.
So going off of your list and just what I've seen from what I've watched through the football games these first 6 weeks. At number 10, I have the Rams. I had to drop them back all the way to 10th. I did have them within the 6th or 5th, but they lost to the 49ers.
Yeah.
And the 49ers really are not that great this year. They're so injury-ridden. I don't know if that was just a coaching thing where Shanahan outcoached McVay, but I have the Rams at 10.
I don't trust McVay at all.
At 9, I have Green Bay. I had Green Bay drop. I had them, I think, last week within the top 4, but now I have them drop. That defense really is not that great. And if Rodgers gets behind, the metrics have come out. I mean, he's got a losing record. So when he just gets behind, it's almost as if he gives up.
Who's the kid they drafted?
Jordan Love.
Wouldn't they have done better with a safety
Probably.
instead of Jordan Love?
At 8, I have Buffalo. Buffalo, that your defense. Look, man, I love watching y'all. I love watching Josh Allen play. Your defense has got to step up. Got to step up, or else you're not going to win many games.
Yeah.
At 7, I have the Chicago Bears, and really it is because that defense is disgusting. That defense can flat out get to the quarterback, and not only that, Nick Foles is making it work. Nick Foles is making it work. He's out there, and he's slinging the ball around 5-1. They only got 1 loss, too. Let's remember that as well. At 6, I have Tampa Bay.
Hunter, I'm going to read, though. Rest of the first round after Green Bay picked the quarterback.
Yeah.
Next pick, linebacker. Next pick, linebacker. Then offensive tackle to Tennessee. And then the Dolphins and Vikings went cornerback. So
yeah,
for the next 5 picks after
defense
they picked was defense.
And fun fact, they traded up to get that pick too.
Who did?
The Green Bay,
Green
the
Bay.
Packers.
Yeah.
6, I have it. Tampa Bay matches your 6. I think just week to week, barring any injuries, they'll just get better. The chemistry will just get better. The team will buy into more what Brady wants them to be. At 5, I have the Ravens. That matches yours. At 4, I have Seattle because of defense. I know what they can do on offense. I know what Russell Wilson can do, and they're undefeated. But that defense is questionable. So you can just go ahead and say that the first 3 are AFC teams. That shows you how strong the AFC is. 3 is Kansas City. You've lost the game. But I still think you might be the best team in the league. 2nd, I have Tennessee. And 1st is Pittsburgh.
Now that is a power ranking.
Yes.
Mine is a
yes. You are a Super Bowl poll. Mine is power rankings. These are the best teams in football.
Right. Mine was the chances to winning the Super Bowl. That's why Seattle's in the 2 spot because the NFC team has to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
Unless they come up with a rule this year that no NFC East teams are allowed.
Thank God. Now to my serious question.
Oh God.
Do I start Matt Stafford or Matt Ryan this weekend?
It's not a serious question.
That is a serious question because both of them.
Schedule.
But no, they play each other.
Oh.
They both have shit defenses.
Is Julio back yet?
Yes.
Yeah, play him.
Play Matt Ryan.
Julio's back, isn't he? His receivers are good.
Listen, this is where my conundrum is. I started Matt Ryan since week 1, and he did good for like the first 2 weeks. But these past 2 weeks, until this week, he was maybe like in the 12s. At 1 week, he got me 8 points. So you know what I did? I benched him last week. Do you know what he did on my bench? He dropped 31 points.
Yeah, he don't have to win the game for your fantasy team to be good.
So I'm sitting here, and guess who I started over him? Matt Stafford. And he had 12. So I was in a predicament last week, and now these two play each other, and I know how bad the Falcons' defense really is. It is not good. So it's almost a coin flip.
Falcons giving up 31 a game.
Detroit
29.
I can't. So now I'm just
Matt Ryan is second in passing yards in the NFL. Dak
I
Prescott,
was about to say he's second to Dak.
Dak hadn't played in a game and a half.
And he's still first. He had what? Almost 2,000 yards. He had 1,800.
He's got 1,800. The Dallas leadership is just. I tried to tell y'all 5 years ago.
All right.
You don't get rid of players that can play. You don't get rid of quarterbacks that can play.
Well, then looks like I'm going to make the change right now.
So
edit lineup. Move.
I mean, Hunter, Matt's second. Stafford's 21st in yards. Matt Ryan, they're averaging the same per attempt.
Yeah, but the Atlanta has got like the 32nd worst defense to a quarterback in the league.
But isn't Atlanta's receivers way better than whatever Detroit's got?
Yeah.
I can't even name a Detroit wide receiver.
Kenny Galladay.
So there you go. I have no idea. He could walk in this building right now with his jersey on, and I would think he's a fan. Not an real NFL player. I think he's a fan. Dude, I like. I mean, as long as Julio's out, there, look, he's going to get regular numbers.
Julio's back.
He's getting regular numbers without Julio. Now with Julio out there,
Julio is back and had 2 touchdowns. So
yeah. You know what I'd do if I was you? Trade Stafford.
I just might drop him. Ain't nobody gonna pick up Stafford. There are too many good quarterbacks in the league. That was my problem. I took Matt Ryan thinking, yes, he's gonna be a good quarterback. He's got the weapons all around him, and everybody just started getting hurt.
Well, he's second yards,
and he just struggled. Yeah, but this is. You understand most of the points in fantasy for a quarterback still come from touchdowns.
Yeah,
he went like 3 weeks in a row without a touchdown pass. It was killing me. So yeah, he could throw for like almost 200 yards, but that's still only like 8 points.
Yeah, he's 8th in touchdowns. At least he's not throwing picks. Kirk Cousins, shit, he's got 10 picks.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins threw 3 touchdowns and 3 picks this past weekend.
Baker's 13th in touchdown passes. Cousins has the most picks with 10. Wentz 9. Fitzpatrick 7. Phillip Rivers, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray.
I knew Phillip Rivers would be up there.
Jones.
I know Phillip Rivers would be up there.
I want to look at real quick the Cowboys
remaining schedule.
No, just the Cowboys Cardinals game from Friday night. That was something I wanted to tell you. You know, we talk about what's wrong with the Cowboys. Hunter, they had 4 turnovers. They got beat by 28 points. Well, that's simple math.
4 times 7
is 28.
28.
So, and like you said, Zeke fumbled twice, which is just ridiculously stupid. I don't think he's. Listen, Hunter, if you're again,
he got his money and was never the same.
We've said this for years. If you're a running back, and think about it, in high school you get 200 carries. The next junior, then senior year, you get 200 carries. Then 3 years in college. So now you're at 1,000 carries, and the only thing you've ever been paid in is sweatsuits and spaghetti at the cafeteria. Now they're going to give you $15 million a year, and after busting your ass for 8 years. So 8 years of that's 1,600 carries or whatever, basically. So after 8 years and 1,600 carries, they give you $15 million, Hunter. Are you going to take an extra step out of bounds this time? Are you going to get down earlier? Are you going to take that extra hit?
I don't know.
There's so many questions because you want to get paid. You don't want to get cut getting paid $15 million a year. So the best availability.
You don't want to get hurt. There's bonuses involved.
The best ability is availability.
Yeah.
So these running backs, once you give them that money, it's almost best to pay them. It's almost like there's no middle road. Everybody's making $3 million or $15 million. Ain't nobody out here just making
nobody in the middle.
8. Like, wouldn't it be better if the Browns paid Chubb and Hunt both 8 or 9, as instead of both 15? Like, they just paid Hunt $15 million. Like, they're not going to have to pay Chubb
eventually
next year or the next.
Right.
Like, so where do they think that money's going to come from? It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Trying to get this score up. Cardinals and Cowboys.
It was like 28-0, or it was very lopsided. Let me say that. I will say this too: there is nobody on that Dallas defense that could keep up with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray could be the fastest quarterback in the league.
He might be, but he's not a quarterback.
Running back.
I don't know what he is, but he ain't a quarterback. That's why I said of Cam, like, Make a heck of a
Athlete.
fullback. He's a heck of an athlete. He's a good runner. Hunter, and what I mean by he's not a quarterback. Let me read you his wonderful passing stats.
No, it was not.
9 of 24. 9 of 20.
Trust me, I knew it because I have DeAndre Hopkins, and that's one of the top 3-4 receivers in the league, and he just is not producing what he could.
Andy Dalton threw 54 passes. Elliott had 12 carries. Pollard, 10 carries. So again,
well, they ran the ball 25 times.
27
or
27 runs total against 54 passes with Andy
It's
Dalton.
a little lopsided on one area.
It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You really shouldn't get to 40 pass attempts. If you get to 50, you're in trouble. And it might be the defense, Hunter. It might be, and that's what they got to do. But damn it, Kenyon, the Cardinals had 261 rushing yards.
I thought it was a lot of throwing, just like when I would play an NFL, like Madden or something, and I threw 30-plus times.
Right.
I was like, damn, I really threw the ball.
Right.
These guys are throwing 50 to 60 times.
It's just silly.
That's dumb. It's just dumb,
Right.
especially if it's getting nowhere. Like, if it's not working, why are you still doing
If
it?
Romo threw it 50 times, he'd have 400
Like,
yards.
what was his completion percentage?
Who? Kyler Murray?
No, Dalton's.
Dalton was 34 of 54, so close to 60%.
Well, okay, that was working. But think about it. It should work. They got receivers all over the field.
I honestly, again,
If that's why are they throwing it that many times because they're like, we have so many hands to feed on this wide receiver group?
maybe, but
And because our offensive line isn't quite the run blocking offensive line it should be because of the injuries?
so
I don't know.
Kenyon, basically, Arizona ran 8 more times than Dallas did. Kenyon Drake had 8 more carries
He got a touchdown too, I think.
than Zeke had. Just in total, Hunter, let me just give it to you this. Arizona had 59 plays.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Dalton threw it 54 times. And they got beat 38-10. Like, there's an efficiency standard somewhere. There's a war stat for that somewhere, Hunter,
Somewhere.
that says, yeah, y'all sucked. And you held the quarterback to go 9 of 24 for $188. And 2 of those 9 were touchdowns. What the fuck they doing? I tell you, that dog just bad defense.
That defense is horrible.
It sucks. All right. Any other news and notes on the NFL? It seems like I had one more, maybe.
I have none.
Let me see. Let me check my fun tweets.
I have none other than I guess I'm going to have to just go forward and figure out which new team to pull for because I'm seriously about done with all of the shenanigans going on in Washington. Even after I just got so excited we drafted Chase Young, I'm just as sick of him as I am this year as I was last year. I'm just sick of him.
Saints still unclear over Michael Thomas's ankle. Decision to start Tua broke Ryan Fitzpatrick's heart.
It should.
I mean, he didn't get benched. He shouldn't have been
That's
benched.
what I'm saying. He did nothing to deserve a benching. If anything, let him go on to see if he throws 5 touchdowns or 5 picks this weekend. You never know.
So what do you think about Tua?
That is, just off the top of my head, I think Shannon Sharp said it, and I agreed with it. He said, he was shocked at the move, and I was too, because of what me and you talked about. They have an opportunity here to have a winning record in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't quite understand the move unless you just think Tua is just as good as what Fitzpatrick is giving you on the field.
There's probably a fairly decent answer.
There's
to that.
if I'm not mistaken, I think this week is their bye week, maybe too. So a lot of people are speculating that this is them giving him that also extra week of preparation to get ready, and then they're gonna let him go from here. But I still think, Fitzpatrick knew his role. He knew what he was to the Dolphins organization. Right. I can't remember. I think it was an interview he did with Adam Schefter on Schefter's podcast, and he said, look, I know eventually I'm going to hand the reins over to Tua. He knows his role. It's to be a mentor and to go out there and try and win ball games right now. But he didn't do anything deserving to lose his job. Yeah. And it's not like, he's injured, so Tua has to come in like Justin Herbert did. Tyrod Taylor got his dang lung punctured, so we got to 5 minutes before game time start Justin Herbert. No. Fitzpatrick just went out there and did what? He won a game, and he ended up getting benched.
All right.